Hello and welcome to my new Guitar Nerdery video. Today's topic is gonna be the pentatonic scale, especially the minor pentatonic scale. But actually, I will mainly focus on the minor pentatonic scale shapes, because when you are able to play the minor pentatonic, you're also able, at the same time, to play the major pentatonic and even other stuff. I will dive into a little bit of theory and also a lot of practice, and I will do a lot of performances for you to show what I mean. I will also discuss the pros and cons of using the minor and the major pentatonic, talking about the pros and the modes of the Ionian system, also called the church modes. You can play with the two pentatonic scales in almost any mode. On the cons side, you'll never play the sound of those specific modes. But I got a great trick for you, and that is what my last chapter will be about. A trick how you can overcome this and play the sound of several modes by using those pentatonic scale shapes. This and much more coming up in this video. Stay tuned. The minor pentatonic scale. Let me use this as a foundation for this video. The minor pentatonic scale is probably one of the most used scales. It came to me intuitively by ear, but it's always one of the first you read in books, and it's because it's sound-wise a no-brainer. There are not really dissonant notes in it, so you can really soon adapt to this. And it makes it very easy to integrate it into different musical situations. The name pentatonic, penta, comes, as far as I know, from the ancient Greek and means 5. And yeah, it's a scale including 5 notes. And therefore, it's not suitable to building chords from it, because the pentatonic, this minor pentatonic I'm talking about, is a part of a diatonic scale. Which one isn't clear? We'll come to this. It's a part of a broader scale. I'm going to explain this to you with the A minor pentatonic, starting with the root A. Minor 3rd C, perfect 4th D, perfect 5th E, minor 7th G. Here's the root again. The minor 3rd C makes it a minor scale. So we have a prime, a root, we have a minor 3rd, we have a perfect 4th, we have a perfect 5th, and we have a minor 7th. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. What we're missing here is any second intervals and any 6th intervals. So I couldn't avoid this. I already started to mention intervals, and if you really struggle with understanding this, I strongly recommend a video of mine. It's Guitar-Nerdery number 116. Look it up on my YouTube channel. It's really into depth how to understand musical intervals and how to see them and memorize them on the guitar fretboard. Going back to the scale notes, the 1, 3, 4, 5 and 7, and the 2nd and the 6th missing, I previously told you that the minor pentatonic is just a part of a scale. So let me show you what I mean by this. Talking about the church modes now. Another term for it is the modes of the Ionian system. There we got 7 different modes or different scales with the names Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian and Locrian. If you do not know anything about this, don't be afraid. Today it's not about this especially, but I need to go to this to explain the pentatonic to you. If you're interested to dive deeper into the topic of modes, I've made also a lot of videos about the modes, so you can just look them up on my YouTube channel, use the playlist, that's the easiest way. So, what does the minor pentatonic scale have to do with the modes? The church modes, the modes of the Ionian system. There we have 3 different minor modes, Dorian, Phrygian and Aeolian, also known as natural minor, the parallel minor scale to the well-known major scale. They of course have a lot in common because they are minor scales. So for example, they all include a minor third, which is mandatory, a mandatory interval, musical interval to be minor. But what is the difference in those 3 minor modes? The difference lies in the notes that are not part of the pentatonic scale. The difference lies in the second intervals and the sixth intervals. The minor pentatonic scale is a part of all them 3 because those different notes are not part of the minor pentatonic scale. Let me show you with those graphics and playing. The Dorian scale. Here we have a major second, and here we have a major sixth, which are not in the minor pentatonic or the Phrygian scale. Again, the pentatonic scale is part of it, but avoids to play the special Phrygian sounding interval, the minor second and the minor sixth. And the third one, the Aeolian scale, also here we have a major second and a minor sixth. Those 2 notes are not part of the pentatonic scale. And here we have already the explanation why the minor pentatonic fits to all of them, because it doesn't interfere. Those differences between those 3 scales isn't in the pentatonic, so you can use it over all of them. Of course, there are also minor scales which the minor pentatonic is not a part of. For example, the harmonic minor scale, because it includes a major 7th, and this clashes with the minor 7th of the minor pentatonic. You get this. And also the melodic minor scale. And there are many more where the minor pentatonic scale is not a part of. But when it comes to the church modes, it fits to all those 3 minor modes. There's also one mode in the Ionian system, the Locrian mode, which is somehow a minor scale, but it includes a diminished 5th, which interferes with the minor pentatonic scale. So minor pentatonic scale is not a part of the Locrian scale. Let me now demonstrate to you that it works, that you can use, for example, the A minor pentatonic to play over A Dorian, A Phrygian and A Aeolian mode. I'm sure you clearly could hear that the minor pentatonic scale fits to all those three minor modes, Dorian, Frisian and Aeolian, because it's a part of all of them. If this is the only scale you know, the minor pentatonic scale, and you go on a session, for example, and you have to play to whatever minor, you can use this scale. You always have a tool that works. And now about the cons side. Maybe you also heard it never really got in contact with that distinctive sound of each mode, because the notes that give all three modes their distinctive character are not included in the minor pentatonic. So you can't play the sound of the mode. You can play to it. You don't do something wrong, but you do not really play the mode. Maybe you could hear that. And I have to tell you, it was really hard for me to do this demonstration, because I'm really used to play the exact sound of a mode when I hear it, when I play in that context. And by using only the pentatonic, I all the time had to avoid to play it. And that's really difficult if you're used to do this. And that's maybe the reason why it's not done very often, using the minor pentatonic to play the modes, because there's no point in wanting to play a special mode, wanting to have that distinctive sound of the mode, and then using the minor pentatonic, because then you do not play it, actually. You do not do something wrong, but you do not play it. In most of the cases, using the minor pentatonic and really stick to it comes in a blues approach, in a bluesy context. So let's conclude. The minor pentatonic scale is an awesome scale. Let's that be said, because it's a no-brainer and it fits in a lot of musical situations. So if this is the only scale you know, you can get really far with this. And you can even do much more with it, what I will discuss in the next chapters. But those points I made, that you do not play the modes, the cons, I think you should be aware of this. This chapter now is for those of you who really want to learn the minor pentatonic scale. I'm going to show you a bunch of different scale shapes that cover the whole fretboard. So it's for eager learners. In the following chapters after this one, I'm going to tell you what else you can do with these minor pentatonic scale shapes, that there's so much more possible than only playing minor. You'll be surprised. Let's start with the most used minor pentatonic scale shape, I think. I believe it's the most used one. This one. It's somewhat more than the scale played over 2 octaves in one position. And the concept is 2 notes per string. So let us briefly go through the notes. A, C, D, E, G. We had that in the former chapter. And here's again the root, 1 octave higher. A, C, D, E, G. And then again A. This one is 2 octaves higher. And the second note is again the minor third C. There are a lot of guitar players who do not know much more than this shape only. You can come really far with this. For example, you can play this here, what I showed you. And you can play this 1 octave higher, 12 frets higher. It really covers nearly the whole range of the guitar. But you get a lot of dark spaces on your fretboard where you do not know where you are. Of course, it's very easy to approach this scale shape, and that counts for all scale shapes, on a guitar to approach it to another key. If you want to play G minor, you just move the same shape 2 frets down. And you can do this everywhere, so you can play with one scale shape in 12 keys. But for those of you who are eager to learn, let's fill in those black spaces. Let's take that 2 notes per string concept as a rule. What I'm gonna do now is putting the A minor pentatonic on the low E string horizontally, from octave to octave. A, C, D, E, G, and here's A again. So all these 5 notes you can see as markers to start a new shape. The first one we already had. A is the first marker, and here the scale shape goes like this. So the second note on the A string is here, the C. I want to find now a scale shape that starts here. I have as a rule that 2 notes per string scale shape, and I know the notes that are in the minor pentatonic, the A minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G. So here I already start with the note C, the next one is D. Here would be the E. I can't play it because it would be the 3rd note. I have to put it on another string, and that's the concept. Then I come up with this E, G, A, C, D, E here, G, here A again, C, and D. Let's do this with the 3rd shape. The second shape, the second note of the second shape is D. I'm gonna start here. D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E. That's scale shape number 3 with the concept 2 notes per string. The next starting point, the next marker is the E. That would be E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G. That's our 4th shape. And now the 5th and the last one, because with that concept, putting a scale on one string and use those scale notes as starting points for a new shape, with a pentatonic scale shape, you come up with 5 different shapes, of course. That would be different with those scales from the Ionian system. They include 7 notes, so you come up with 7 scale shapes. Let's finish with the 5th shape. It starts here from the note G. G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, and A again. And the next shape starts here on the A, and I've showed you this already. It's exactly the same as shape 1, because here's the octave. Let me play them all after another to a backing track, so you can see and hear that they all represent the A minor pentatonic scale. Additionally to this, I'm gonna show you now another scale shape that is really cool, especially when you wanna build riffs from it, bluesy riffs. It's more diagonal. It makes use of octaves that are put that way on the guitar. A. The first scale pattern goes like this. I do not start with the root, but with the 7th, G. And here is the A. Then the C I'm gonna play here, D and E. And that's already the whole scale. A, C, D, E, G, A. And now you hear what I meant with building riffs. It's really cool to have a note under the root, so you can target it from underneath. You've probably heard a lot of riffs that are similar to this. So, let me show you the scale shape. It's ridiculously easy in concept. This is already the scale shape. I've just showed you the octaves. Maybe it's easier to target the G here, because I start on the G, but G is not the root. Keep that in mind. So my mini shape here is... My next G is here, and I do exactly the same. It's exactly the same fingering. And you can do this again in the upper octave, starting on that G here. Exactly the same fingering. So you have 3 times the same fingering. Pretty easy. This shape is extremely suitable to come up with little motifs and playing them through octaves, because you do all the time the same. This diagonal scale shape is not meant to replace those formerly 2 notes per string scale shapes. It should be an addition. They really work fantastically together. And having this also in your repertoire is also very cool for changing positions on the fretboard, because you come very far with it in distance. When you're here, when you're only using 2 notes per string scale shapes, you stick in the box, you stick in the position. This one brings you out of position. You get here, and maybe you can connect to the shape here. And finally, I've got another cool diagonal scale shape for you that works the same way as the one I've just showed you, having a small pattern on 2 strings and just repeating it in 3 octaves. Goes like this. Here the root A, when we play with this, the A minor pentatonic, the root A is the upper note. It starts from the note C. C, D, E, G, A. A is the highest note. And that also you can repeat in 2 next octaves, starting the next one here on that C, playing the same fingerings. And then the highest one is here, that C. In this chapter, I want to make you aware of an interesting fact. Until now, we only covered the minor situation, the minor pentatonic scale. There's a major pentatonic, the C major pentatonic scale, that includes exactly the same notes as the A minor pentatonic. So let me play first the A minor pentatonic scale. A, C, D, E, G. And here A is the root, and then the C is the minor third. It makes it a minor scale. When I use the same notes, but start from the C, make this the root, obviously, and play to the C. C, D, E, G, A. A is now not the root, but the sixth. And here's the root. C again. This is C major. Let me explain to you how huge this fact is. While thinking in minor, what we previously have done, we found out we can play this over at least 3 minor modes of the Ionian system. The minor pentatonic scale fits to a lot of minor situations, minor keys. We now have the possibility to play major with the same scale shapes. Why the same scale shapes? Look, this is only A minor pentatonic when the root is A. But if, for example, the band or the backing track or the chord behind, if we put weight on the C, make clear that this is the root now, I can use exactly the same shape. A is not the root anymore then, but it's still in the scale. But fingering wise, I do not have to learn something new. I can use the same scale shape. And that counts for all scale shapes I showed you in the chapter before. They all work also for major. Let me shortly explain to you how you can use this. You have this first scale shape I showed you. So you didn't learn all them others. What would you do when this scale shape should be a scale shape for playing major? You have to keep in mind that now your first note is not the root anymore, but the second note on the low E string. And if you want now to play A major instead, you move this shape as many frets down so that this note is the note A. And you see, A major is the same as the F sharp minor scale. When you are a great learner and you have learned all scale shapes I showed in the chapter before, you can use them all to play major, the major pentatonic, and you also cover the whole fretboard with it. You only have to keep in mind with each shape that the root has shifted. But it's very easy to start this approach. Start to move the first shape down so that the second note on the low E string is the root you want to play. Now you have your first shape, and the next 4 shapes we figured out come in the same way, appear in the same way, with the same distances as before, because the relation to each other stays intact. And of course, this also works with those two diagonal shapes. I also can move them 3 frets down and get the A major pentatonic scale. Let me show you this. Also discussed that we can use the minor pentatonic scale to play over different minor modes, because those character notes that distinguish those modes from each other are not in the pentatonic scale, and that same equally counts for the major pentatonic scale. In the Ionian system we have also 3 major modes: Ionian, which is the major scale, and then we have Lydian and Mixolydian. And here also, those notes that distinguish these 3 major modes from each other are not part of the major pentatonic scale. So the major pentatonic scale is a part of them all. Let me do a quick analyze to verify this. The notes of the A major pentatonic are A, B, C sharp, E and F sharp. A is the prime, the root, the major second B, the major third C sharp, E is the perfect fifth, and F sharp is the major sixth. What is not included is any kind of fourth and any kind of seventh. And now you can guess. The difference between Ionian, Lydian and Mixolydian major is represented in the 4th interval or in the 7th interval. Ionian, perfect 4th, major 7th. Lydian, augmented 4th, major 7th. Mixolydian, perfect 4th, minor 7th. And all other 5 notes are the same in all 3 scales. And these 5 notes are the major pentatonic. When it comes to major, you can use the major pentatonic and you do not hit a wrong note, because the possible wrong notes are not part of the major pentatonic. The cons are the same as with the minor pentatonic scale. If you play in a certain mode, for example Lydian, it has a really distinctive character. You can play in Lydian, but you do not yourself play Lydian. It's in the context you are playing to, but you yourself won't play Lydian. Also here a final conclusion. The Major Pentatonic is an awesome scale. Very universal, fits to a lot of major modes. But playing it over Lydian, for example, Lydian is my favorite major scale. I really know how to play Lydian and what the sound is about. And it's not included in the Major Pentatonic. And here's the con side again. While you can play with the Major Pentatonic over all those major modes, you do not really play the modes. You do nothing wrong, but you do not really play it. It's about intention. If you want to play Lydian and you do not emphasize the augmented fourth, which is the character note of the Lydian mode, and you can't emphasize this because it's not included in the Major Pentatonic. So then you do not really play Lydian. The Lydian sound comes then from the backing track or from everything else, but not from you. But the Major Pentatonic Scale as well as the Minor Pentatonic Scale have a great sound on their own because of those notes that are not in there. That is a sort of note choice that makes them stand on their own, having their own beautiful sound. In this chapter, I want to address the bluesy character of the Minor Pentatonic Scale as well as the Major Pentatonic Scale. I'm gonna start with the Minor Pentatonic Scale. There is a scale that's called the blues scale. It derived from the Minor Pentatonic Scale. It's just adding a note to the Minor Pentatonic makes it the blues scale. Adding a so-called blue note, a dirty note, means a dissonant note. Goes like this. I show you in the first octave. So here we got the A minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G. And what I add now is a diminished fifth that sits between the fourth and the fifth. So an E flat. A, C, D, E flat, E. I'm absolutely sure you've heard this 100,000 times. Adapting this idea to the whole scale shape, this one, then we can add one more E flat as a blue note. Here. And of course it works with all other scale shapes. In the case of A minor pentatonic, just look for all Ds and Es and put an E flat in between them and you have it. But it especially works pretty well with the diagonal shape, the first one I've showed you. There it sits really good in the fingering, especially strong for riffs. It also works in the major situation. I've got this scale shape here now. Shifted 3 frets down. I get a bluesy major scale. Why is this? Because now it's not the diminished fifth anymore. It's not that blue note, but there is also another blue note, and that is the augmented second, which is actually a minor third, but there is a rule. When there is a major third, the interval of 4 halftone steps in a chord or in a scale, then it's a major chord and a major scale. When a chord includes a minor third and a major third, the minor third loses its rank and is degraded to an augmented second. And that is what's happening here. So I start with the F sharp, but that's not the root now, it's the major 6. Major 6. Here's the root, the 1. Major second. And then, because it's that blues scale shape, here comes a minor third, a sharp ninth, and that is also a blue note. And then comes the major third. Look, when I do this, when I combine the augmented second with the major third, it sounds really bluesy. Let me demonstrate this with a backing track. First, the regular blues scale derived from the minor pentatonic, and then the major version of this, the blues scale. And now the major version. Just moving my whole shape 3 frets down and I get a bluesy major scale. There's another great thing you can do with the blues scale, with the minor blues scale. You can play it in a major context. It has to be a certain kind of major. The chord, if it would be a tetrad, should be a dominant 7 chord, because it's a major triad that adds a minor 7th, and a minor 7th is included in the minor pentatonic. What isn't included is the minor third of the minor pentatonic scale. But the minor third, as we just found out, is also a blue note. So when I play the minor pentatonic scale, or even the minor blues scale, over an A dominant 7 chord, then it sounds pretty bluesy and it works, because then the minor third of the scale is not a wrong note, but a blue note. And this is done actually pretty often. And let me also demonstrate this to you. I'm gonna play over a Mixolydian backing track, and I'm gonna switch between the minor blues scale and the major version of the blues scale. I first start simply playing the minor pentatonic scale, just to show you that already this sounds really bluesy. Final conclusion for this chapter: just by adding the diminished fifth, you can extend the already marvelous sounding minor pentatonic to the blues scale. And you can also put these scale shapes you're achieving then into the major context, and it sounds equally cool. And also I showed you that you can play the minor pentatonic as well as the minor blues shape scale in a major context, in a dominant 7 context, which is represented in the Mixolydian mode, for example. It doesn't work the other way around. It sounds really not good to play in a minor context, the major scale. That doesn't sound good. This final chapter is the trick chapter. Here I'm gonna show you how you can use the minor pentatonic scale shape to achieve the sound of a certain mode. It doesn't work with all modes, but with several. For showing you this trick, I only use the first scale shape with 2 notes per string, and that everyone knows, so it's a no-brainer, this one. Lydian. Lydian is the 4th mode in the Ionian system. It's a major scale. And I formerly explained that Lydian, its character note is the augmented 4th. If you do not play it, you do not really play Lydian. But here's the trick, how we can use the scale shape to play really the mode. Use this scale shape and play it a half step down. If you play A Lydian, then play G sharp minor pentatonic over this. What happens then? A, just playing it separate sounds strange, I think. But let me analyze this for you so you can see. Let me make you already aware of that you now play a scale that doesn't include the root. The root is A, and what you play is a G sharp, which is the major 7th. It's part of the Lydian scale. The major 2nd, the major 3rd, very important, because that makes it major. And then what was formerly the perfect 5th is now the augmented 4th. Here you get it. That's the Lydian sound. And 1 note left, that here, that was formerly the minor 7th. This is now the major 6th. So we do not play the root of A Lydian, and also we do not have any 5th in there. But the 5th isn't important anyway in most cases, and the root is maybe in the bass anyway. And it sounds pretty cool not having the root in a scale, because I call it the beating around the bush sound. You never resolve your phrasing, your lines, because you have no root where you can fall down on. This sounds pretty cool, and you can play this again over the whole fretboard, because if you have learned all shapes that cover the whole fretboard, you just can think in G sharp minor and play all scale shapes over the whole fretboard of G sharp minor. When the root is A, like in the backing track, you play actually Lydian without playing ever the root. But it sounds pretty cool. Next trick. The sound of Dorian. Its character note is the major 6. If you play Dorian and you do not play the major 6, then you do not play Dorian, because that is the note that distinguishes it from Aeolian or Phrygian mode. Those other 2 modes include a minor 6. So that's the difference. There's the character. You have to play it. Here I have it in the chord. How to achieve this with the A minor pentatonic scale shape? If I play it just to A, I have no 6 at all. But you can combine this with the B minor pentatonic scale shape. Both shapes add up to achieve the Dorian sound. Let me also analyze this, why this is. So just playing the minor pentatonic was 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, missing the 6. But when I play the B minor pentatonic, I get here even the major second, I get the second, which wasn't part of the minor pentatonic. And the fourth note of the B minor pentatonic shape, which is to B the perfect fifth, but it's to A the major sixth. Here is the Dorian note. So this and this together is Dorian. Pretty cool. But you just have to learn this one shape to be able to play this. Of course, you can adapt this concept to all shapes. With this method, you can use your regular minor pentatonic scale shape and you really play the Dorian mode. Both shapes, both scales add up to the complete Dorian scale. And because when you do it this way, because of the fingering in a great way decides always what you do with it, how it sounds. And this has a great influence, this concept, also on your phrasing. It would sound really different if you play Dorian, for example, with a 3 notes per string concept. And here comes my final mode trick for today. Trick number 3. How to achieve the authentic sound of the Ionian mode, the major mode, by using a minor pentatonic scale shape. Of course, we can just play the major pentatonic. Let's analyze the major pentatonic again. A, B, C sharp, E and F sharp. Root, major second, major third, perfect fifth, major sixth. What I do not have included is any fourth and any seventh. We'd rather avoid the fourth because it really interferes with the major third. In the Ionian mode, the perfect fourth is also called the avoided note. You better play it with care. But if I do not play the seventh, if I have no seventh in it, what I do not have when I play the major pentatonic, then I do not make the difference between the Mixolydian mode. It includes a minor seventh, and the Ionian mode needs a major seventh. And here comes the trick. If you play the C sharp minor pentatonic scale shape over A Ionian, you achieve exactly that, the authentic sound of the Ionian mode. And like in the Lydian mode, in the Lydian trick version, you do not have a root, which is pretty cool. Starting here with C sharp. C sharp is the major third to A. Important note, of course, it makes it major. Then the E, that is the perfect fifth to A. Here the F sharp, that's the major sixth to A. And here is the G sharp. That is the major seventh. That's the note I wanted. And here, that is the note B. That's the major second. So, I do not have any root in it. And I do not have a fourth, which would be an avoided note anyway. So cool that it's not in there. But I get the additional sound of the major seventh, which is a really strong sounding note. got it. 3 very interesting, cool sounding tricks. Without learning any new scale shapes, you can achieve mode sound of Lydian, Dorian and Ionian. This was it for today, my really deep dive into the world of the pentatonic and the pentatonic scale shapes. What you can do with only one scale shape, or how to play the pentatonic over the whole fretboard, or play all ideas that I covered in this video, play them all over the whole fretboard. It's really huge. All those mode backing tracks that I've used, you'll find in my playlist Backing Tracks on my YouTube channel. Additionally to this, I'm going to provide you all diagrams of those scale shapes at the very end of this video. I'm going to put them each for a few seconds on the screen, and so you can make a screenshot. If you liked the video and want to support me to make more videos like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also watching a bunch of other videos. Everything helps. And now it's only left to say, I'm looking very forward to see you next time. Have a great time until then, and bye.